Let's do the math then. Go.
Okay, well, if you have a 1% chance at infinity, what's the expected value of your investment? Infinity. So then you just throw infinite money at it. Yeah. And that's why they're throwing so much money at AI, is because the promise is
infinity.
Literally infinity. Because they think it will do everything for us forever. Welcome back to the MCT Podcast. We have a new look now, and I'm here
with pickleball paddles in the back.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's how I got started here. So I'm always a big fan of that. But we're here with Chuck. We're here with Ryan, Jonathan, and myself.
Got it.
And we're getting rolling on the MCT Podcast. So we wanted to start off back in our main subject of discourse, at least so far on the podcast, and that is AI. And we kind of wanted to go into the history of it, but also today I think we're going to go all sorts of directions with AI, so I think we should just get right into it. You said something about ancient Greece and AI.
Well, I was actually doing some study, and I was found out that the thought process of a artificial intelligent something was, all the way back 2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago, when people started thinking about other stuff, right? Other type of intelligent beings. So, I mean, it really did start a long, long time ago. And a lot of people in the world just think AI started, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And it's been around since really the beginning of time, since human thought.
Yeah. Do you think that was more of just like a philosophical thought, though, or it's just kind of like,
no, I'm sure
what happens if there's something smarter than us? How should we handle that as humans? I think that might be kind of where those ancient Greek philosophers were going, more so than generating words and stuff. I don't think they were thinking that far ahead.
No, I don't think they were thinking large language models back in the day. But so no, I agree with you. It was probably exactly what they were thinking. But again, I guess that point is that things have changed so dramatically over the last 4 years, and ChatGPT comes out and we start talking about these large language models, but it's been a long time before that. It really took root back in the 40s and 50s, and a lot of people out there in the world think it just started. No, this has been around a long time. So it's just another iteration of it, and I'm sure it's going to change a lot as we move forward, right? And we talked about one of the topics is people concerned about losing their jobs, right? And as an AI is going to take my job, and Nolan, you or Jonathan, you and I were just talking about, while AI has replaced a few jobs out there and done some things, but really, how many jobs has it added? Mm-hmm. To our world, I think we forget about all that. So while it's going to replace a few things here and there, it's also going to add a whole bunch. Your job, in fact, think about it. Your job wasn't around before this. Mm-hmm. And if nobody knows what Nolan does, he's our prompt engineer. So he, and that's a job that didn't exist 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm not even sure it existed a couple of years ago. So it's been vast changes that are happening. And I think we need to be less concerned about losing our job than we need to as adapting to what's really happening in the world right now. And, don't be afraid of it, but just take to it and do what you can. So, thoughts?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, okay. I wanted to make the connection to like the .com bubble. I wasn't around for that personally, so I'm deferring to the three of you to kind of talk about what was the hype like at the time.
I'm not sure they were around much for it.
Yeah,
I mean, this
maybe
could
not,
be more of
not quite.
we talked a little about before this. It's interesting how we've got three generations. We got Gen Z, we got the millennials, and of course I'm a baby boomer. And I don't know if you guys were around much back, even with the .com bust. But I do remember back in the mid 90s hearing exactly what I'm hearing today. Oh my gosh, the internet's coming out. Oh my God, what is this World Wide Web? I mean, we were teaching people what www meant. It's like people were like, didn't have any idea, and they were afraid of it because of the unknown. Just like today, they don't understand really AI. They really didn't understand what the World Wide Web was. Heard the same exact thing. I'm not going to be losing my job. Is it going to replace? Oh my God, the world's coming to an end. And God, it was such a far from that. Look how many jobs were created by the World Wide Web or the internet versus how many it actually lost. It just adapted. It was just a change. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, and then of course, what happened was, unfortunately, there was a lot of investment going on back there, and some of that was probably not too sound of investments. And what happened was it busted. So the question is it going to bust again? Is AI going to have that bust?
I think a lot of the general sentiment right now, at least from people I've talked to, not corporations, but just people, is that the hype is a little too big. It is a bubble. The AI will change the world in ways that people are suggesting, but it's not going to be as fast, and it's not going to be as, much of a boom as our economy is hoping that it will be.
But it's got the potential.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also has the potential bust. I get a kick out of these. There's everybody out there. You think about all the 2008, our financial crisis in 2008.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be the next person who is going to get it right.
Everyone wants to be the next Michael Burry. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
They want to be Michael Burry and time the trade and time the move perfectly.
Yeah.
And then come away rich.
But even Michael Burry right now is actually saying there's going to be a bust.
Mhm.
There's one thing about Michael Burry from what I read, don't know him personally, love to meet him though. He sounds like a fascinating guy. But what I read is that he's always right. His timing isn't always right. So you were the same way. You just mentioned that not too long ago when you said the timing is what's kind of critical. Most people are right, but the timing, because we all know there's going to be another bust. That's just because if you look at our history, we've had busts for, 50, 60, 70 years.
Mhm.
It's going to happen. The question is who's going to get the timing right.
Right. And that's the hardest part and the part you can't predict. So
exactly right.
Good luck.
So it's easy for people to go, oh, it's a bust, and all the naysayers out there. So is the glass half empty or is it half full?
Mhm.
So the half empty folks are saying that's a big bubble right now. It's going to bust.
Mhm.
Will there be something that happens? Yeah, probably. But again, when and how can we predict that?
Mhm.
So interesting. You guys, we were talking not too long ago off camera, and there's been what we call these winters, AI winters, and I think they started back in the 50s where, all of a sudden there's this technology that's coming, and there's a lot of investment money that goes out into the world and starts going, okay, hey, this is going to be something new. Well, then it proves that it didn't really work out the way they were talking about it. What do you call it? Snake oil salesperson? The
Snake
people
oil.
that just get out and go, yeah, it's going to change the world. And it doesn't happen.
Mhm.
So all of a sudden the investment money kind of dries up. And so that was a winter, they called it. It happened a couple times with AI. So there's been a couple winters right now. And there's going to be another winter? Yeah, probably. But the technology is not going away. It really isn't. I think anybody that's used it, you guys use it even more than I do. Is it going away?
No, I mean, it's not going to go away, but it's got a long way to go, I think, to being useful to most people and more use cases. Like, it's good at a couple of things, right? Like, we know from firsthand experience that it's good for role playing, right? That's a major thing that it functions for us, and it does a really good job at that, right? It can inhabit different roles when you give it different instructions and kind of stay within those bounds pretty nicely. But then you start trying to use it for more complicated things. And actually, maybe not complicated, because I guess it is pretty good at certain really complex problems like coding and certain mathematical and scientific things. But once you start trying to get it more generalized, I suppose, then it really starts falling apart. You can't follow obtuse instructions very well. It can't figure things out, right? And then the environment's always changing. So being unable to figure things out in an ever-changing environment just kind of leaves it like, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's okay. Maybe if they can make another leap, right? I don't know if that's going to happen. It's kind of their big gambit right now, right? They have...
Who's they, by the way, if you could define that a little bit?
I say they, I guess I should say the entire stock market
Yeah.
at this point.
Okay.
The entirety of the S&P 500, right? The top is heavier than it's ever been. And a lot of that just comes from this constant investment into AI and this gamble in a way of like, okay, if AI really does end up being this big transformative next generation technology, then it's worth all of this money and more, right? If they can make that leap. But there's that timeline where how long can you keep investing in something that's not returning any value?
Right.
And they've just facing increased pressure constantly, right? You see a lot of pushback against AI right now. You see a lot of talk about all of its failures. You see pushback against the creation of the data centers and all the problems with those, with the increased energy bills.
I've
and
been hearing that,
consumption.
by the way.
Yeah, and the water intake that it takes for people who are a little more environmentally minded. All these different factors are causing people. Oh, and supposedly they're very noisy. Like trying to sleep next to one is like impossible.
Oh,
I
wow.
guess it just interrupts your sleep constantly. So there's just a whole bunch of issues with having data centers in people's communities. So there's just more and more pushback against that, which is going to make it harder for them to actually keep building all the necessary data centers and infrastructure that's needed to make that leap. So I don't know where this combination is going to end up falling, but it's going to be a hard road. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning on, I guess, on the side of it. Probably will pop again before it settles somewhere.
West Virginia has got a real issue. I guess they've got some memorandum going in their government about having some data centers, and how the people are really pushing back of not having data centers in West Virginia. I don't know if they have any now or if they just want more. But I know that's a big thing right now going on in the world. So it's fascinating. I still don't know what's the negative other than them being noisy. I guess you're right. Maybe there are some power constraints, water, and that could be issues for these data centers.
Well, it increases your energy bill. I mean, because it gets because they're not necessarily paying for the electricity themselves, right? I mean, it's I guess it's just causing everybody's energy bills to go up. So if you live near a data center, you're just paying more.
Oh,
so
wow.
You're basically subsidizing these AI companies' energy expenditure, which is just crazy, right? I don't want to be paying for, I don't know,
Me to
OpenAI.
use the internet over here?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be paying for that. So, I think a lot of people have that as one of their major things they're upset about with it. Like I said, environmentally conscious people are worried about the amount of water it consumes, and they're massive. One of the proposed data centers was like as big as, oh my gosh, I'm going to, I can't remember the name of it. What is it? It's in New York, the park, Central Park.
Oh,
it was about as big as Central Park.
Wow.
Could you imagine that? Just a big brick. It was not brick, but I guess this big,
building,
square
right?
building.
Yeah.
It's as big as Central Park, just filled with just one big data center.
Yeah.
Just filled with all the machines. I mean, that's
that's
a
incredible.
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So they're unsightly too. I mean,
Yeah.
They're unsightly. They're loud. Not something I want next door to my house.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That would kind of hurt my property value a little bit.
The
I'm out on
NIMBYs
that.
are out in full force on that one.
Yeah. But now, if you guys help me understand, because I was around when the internet came around with AI. You guys know more about the AI situation than I do.
Mm-hmm.
How do they compare? The worldwide, from an impactfulness of life? Because you said something, Ryan, that kind of triggered me a little bit about it's not transformative enough. It can't do a lot of things well.
Mm-hmm.
The internet was really just putting technology and knowledge to everybody's fingertips, right? I mean, you could get things quicker, faster. It sped things up. I became, I don't know, for some reason I thought I became smarter because I had the internet. Because I didn't know an answer to a question. I didn't have to go to a library. I didn't have to, pick up a phone or call somebody, phone a friend. I could actually just look it up myself. So I felt like it was a huge change in our lives. But AI, I don't get that same feeling from an AI standpoint. It does almost to me what the internet did, right? Where I can look on and I can get information.
Yeah, I don't agree. I do think it speeds up a lot of tasks. Because think about scoring calls, okay?
Like what we do.
We do.
Okay.
So AI.
And we don't just score calls though. It's everything. Any behavior.
Yeah. But, okay. Well, I'm starting with the
Oh,
specifics.
okay, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Okay,
got it. Okay.
So if we start with the specifics of scoring a phone call, someone would have to sit there, listen to the whole phone call,
right?
Score them on each criteria. Well, AI can do that faster. And we can tell, at the rate of change right now, it will be doing it perfectly pretty soon.
Right.
Because what we got from the 4 model of GPT to Claude, and this is a little bit of back end for everybody. Now Claude is involved in our process, but with Claude, things are getting more accurate, and what used to be very difficult is getting easier. And if we can assume any rate of consistency with that, scoring calls will be something we don't even have to think about. It will score them correctly. We don't even have to think about it.
Right.
Well, that is making your life faster. It makes tasks happen faster. And there will always be jobs. You got to review and make sure everything's correct. There will be jobs, related to it, but it will make you faster at your job. And I think that can be applied to a ton of tasks. A ton of stuff you don't have to think about as much. It does the vast majority. You double check. That is speeding things up in a way that the internet didn't.
I see what you're saying. From a job standpoint, you're talking about. It's still from an intellectual standpoint, though. I don't feel smarter because I have AI. I felt smarter when I got the internet, right? Because I could look up anything I wanted to look up and that kind of stuff. But when that makes sense, if it makes my job easier.
So that's the thing, is not everything is a job, but if you have to move, like if you have to do something fast,
right?
You could maybe do your own business on your own now in a way that you never could a decade ago, because AI can automate so much of the work. So it's just those busy work tasks will get sped up by AI. And a lot of people just haven't developed the prompts or the back ends for that yet. But I just think that's the thing that we haven't capitalized on enough, is just busy work. If AI eliminates busy work and the internet gives you the knowledge to do it, people can do a lot and do it a lot faster. And you don't even need to improve AI from its current state in order to do that. We just haven't used what we currently have.
Well, I appreciate, and I'm going to say a Gen Z because I have to, right? Because a Gen Z's perspective on this, because as a millennial, or I'm sorry, as a baby boomer, these guys are the millennials. I tried to get away with it, didn't I? I'm really only 35.
Yeah.
So
hard 35.
A hard 35. I had a good life. Come on. And nobody drinks as much bourbon as me. Come on. So can I say that? I just did. I guess.
Bourbon guy.
I'm bourbon man. Bourbon guy. But I just had an experience that I shared with Ryan. I don't share it with you, but I was just had an experience over the weekend that you have this great outlook of where it could and can go, and it's awesome. But reality is, going back to what you said, it doesn't do certain things very well. I literally had to call a company. They had an issue. I had an issue with that company, so I got their AI trying to walk me through the process. And I'm telling you, it was brutal. I went through 15 minutes of just like, I'm not sure if they're going to come to a conclusion here. I said something, it gave me something totally different back. And this was a $3 trillion market cap company. It was a big company. So I figured if anybody's going to have it right, it would be them. But it wasn't right. And then I had another experience. And the same thing happened to me, same company. So it just wasn't a fluke thing. It's people, and that's the kind of thing, at least maybe from our generation, we're less, baby boomers are less, because we're not around it as much as the younger generation.
Less
It
okay
irritates
with
us more.
making those mistakes and
Yeah.
It kind of makes me wonder, because I remember in like the earlier days of the web, right? You had a lot of bad websites. There were a lot of just really crappy websites out there, right?
Okay.
That just, there's a lot of, obviously for a lot of people, like they were doing it as a hobby and whatnot, right? So having a silly little website for whatever your niche interest was or whatever was cool, fine. But like there was a lot of them out there that were just bad. There were also ones that, would obviously try and inflict your computer with a virus or steal your information, right? There's all these just poorly implemented websites. And over years now, we've standardized so much and built so much around it that most websites are pretty decent, right? There's basically, you can get them out of the box now effectively and they're functional. And I wonder if we'll see something kind of similar with AI implementations like that right now, where right now we're going to get a lot of really bad ones because we're still kind of figuring it out. And maybe, because as Nolan said, I think automating a lot of those simple tasks would be nice. But I also know from using AI that it hallucinates enough that I'm not sure I'm comfortable at filling out my business documents or, anything potentially sensitive, right? Like I'm out, man. Like the AI is going to make a little mistake and it's going to cost us like thousands of dollars, like I just miss me with that right now. But like in time, I can totally see that being like a huge value add, right? Eventually. But I think we kind of wade through the early years a little bit right now. AI is still kind of crawling around and in diapers, as it were. It's got to mature a little bit more before we can like really do that. But I think in time it'll be huge.
So the .com bust, right? We talked about that earlier, and why did the .com bust really happen, right? I mean, so there was a huge amount of funding and investment into these companies that maybe weren't all that good. Maybe the end product wasn't all that great. So, you hear all the time, there's these billionaires today that the only reason they're billionaires and they're not, selling, hot dogs on a street corner is that they sold quick, right? Got out of the .com, took their money and then went what elsewhere. Do you see the same thing happening here? We don't know. Obviously, we can't predict the future, but are those companies? I don't see a lot of small businesses like that kind of an impact, like the .com world. I see more huge money into this, but it's the larger companies. I don't see a lot of small AI companies out there. So that's why there's a difference between, I don't know exactly what it is between the .com bust, because there were a lot of small companies back then, but there's not a lot of small, large language models, hence the name, right? I know there are some, but so, and the funding's going to these huge companies and the chips that power it and the data centers and that kind of stuff, right? It's almost like it's being force fed, right? To this big thing. And I guess maybe that and says it's going to be bigger bust than the .com bust. I don't know.
Well, I guess there's an argument. Sorry, no, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I had something to clarify, I guess. So were there a lot of very small companies that were running the internet? I don't think so, right? So I think that's the difference is these big AI companies are the ones trying to run the AI, and then the small companies are the ones using it. We are the little creator who's making a little website right now. That's what we are. We're the little AI company.
Yeah, there's an argument too, kind of related to this, where because these open source models are usually only like a couple months behind in terms of quality. Now, running them is always a bit of an issue, but I mean, there's an argument that at some point, you don't really need a lot of these major companies that are supplying it right now, and that AI could become somewhat democratized and that anybody could use it. And then in that case, you'll probably see more small creators. But I mean, right now, I think a lot of it is just so, with the internet, it was kind of became a utility, right? So like everybody had access to it.
Right.
So that kind of allows anybody to just kind of start using it and start building for it. With AI, there is already a cost built in, right? A larger one and a repeating one, and one that's not getting cheaper from other corporations, not just, it's not just a utility we can tap into. So I think that kind of limits what smaller companies can do with it right now, because it's not always cost effective. It's not always cheap, especially if you're trying to do something more complicated.
Right.
With what we're doing, we don't need always the top of the line model, right? At the highest dollar count. Not that we, skimp on it by any means, but it's not necessary, right? It's kind of overkill. So it's I think with that built-in starting amount, it just kind of makes it hard to be the little guy.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. In fact, with our tool, we don't even need it.
No.
In our model, we don't even need AI. Now we do it to enhance it. We do it, like you said, make it easier, make it better in some cases, more user-friendly a little bit maybe. I don't know, but I think our stuff, even without the AI, is extremely user-friendly. So you're right, we don't even need that. So that kind of makes sense. Now you guys, I've got to bring up to you, because you guys are, again, the younger generation, especially with the Gen Zs. We had talked a little bit about, and you guys really blew my mind before we started this process. So I have to bring it up. And that is.
All right, I know where you're going.
You do?
Can we just finish this real fast?
Sure, if you want. Absolutely. I don't want to. Yeah, I thought we were, but go ahead. If you, where do you want to go?
So just think about if we had Jonathan and his current knowledge, and we put him back in 2004 or whatever, when there were a bunch of little websites that were all terrible.
Right.
He could optimize them so well compared to what people were doing back then. He could make the best website on the internet back then. And imagine if there's just AI prompt writers, Amazon. You might need a better AI prompt writer.
Now, I did not say that. I just want to point out perfectly.
He's pitching himself.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
If Amazon reaches out, that might be a company that might be able to afford me, But
okay, so you're pitching yourself.
Yeah, I'm just making,
All right, no worries.
Let's say that someone comes up with the right prompt or the right version of AI. Let's say it becomes democratized. So you make an AI that's specifically for answering Amazon's phone calls. You make a whole AI just for that, which they should have done. For being honest, it's Amazon. Let's say they did that. Well, then, if they host it somewhere it's cheap enough to host, you can run it, and it'll handle your job like a lot better because they designed the whole AI around it. And then all of the safeguards and fallbacks, they don't have to add all of that because that's what they literally, fine-tune to their AI just to handle calls.
Right.
If we start doing that with little AIs, I think that might be the way that it handles these tasks without so many failures.
Sure.
So that's just a path it could go.
Yeah, no, that's actually brings up a good point. That becomes the hobby website, right?
Yeah.
Of the .com area, you made a hobby website. In the AI area, you make essentially a hobby AI, or if you're a small business for your own purposes. Because I think that's really the biggest distinction between the .com and now is the internet connected everyone, right? Now I'm talking to someone who's going to sell me a car or a boat, or is really into puppies, you know what I mean? Like whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas the AI has provided us assistance,
Yeah.
right? So it's not just connections, right? But we have assistance doing things that we didn't before. So I can upload a 40-page manual on whatever and be like, hey, how can I fix this one issue, right? Without having to try to find it or figure it out if maybe it's in a different language. So essentially it's just a way to assist us with whatever we need assistance for. And to your point, if we can narrow the scope of the AI enough where it becomes that one job, the AI's one job is to assist with X or Y, it's going to be much better at figuring things out than just kind of like the generalized, like, hey, everyone use this AI. We've trained it on, literature and history and all this other stuff that doesn't matter when I'm trying to figure out, should I make this button red or blue, or, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I think to your point, having the smaller AI models, it might move in that direction.
Yeah, and think about Nano right now. It's so fast. All these Nano models, they're so fast, they're so cheap, they would all be cost effective. If you just had Nano models that were then very specialized, why would that not be the direction we end up going? So in the way the websites get cheaper, it was probably more expensive right at the start to start a website than it is right now, and they were all more general websites. Well, right now, you can go specialized AIs that are all like, here's a nano AI that's really, really, really cheap to run. All that it does is sort phone calls into sales or service. Well, then you don't need general intelligence. You just need, here's 3 keywords. Like, it could be the smallest model we've ever made, and it'll be able to tell which one it is. So, I mean, that's where I see it going. So then it'll be really cost effective.
See, this I'm going to go back to the Gen Z's optimism over where it can go.
I don't think Gen Z is optimistic on it because they're seeing what it is right now. Most Gen Z are not optimistic. It's just...
Is that the truth? You believe that?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually saw something recently. They said it was like 40 to 50%. Maybe it was even higher than that now, but it was 40 to 50% have a negative outlook on AI.
Human... Just like
Gen
people
Z.
or Gen Zs?
Gen Zs.
Just Gen Zs, really?
Yeah.
I wonder what that number would have been if it was the baby boomers and then the millennials.
Yeah,
I wonder
I
if
don't
it's
know.
any less than that. So that's fascinating. But you don't feel that way. So you feel like you're in that under 40 or 50%.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, because you sound
that's
real.
my job too. So
Well, good point. Yeah, you don't want your job yet necessarily to go away. But again, go back to you could have made a great website back in before the .com, but it wasn't these companies. It wasn't having a bad website wasn't why the .coms went under, right? I mean, why there was a .com bust. It was a lot of things happening back then. There were some really bad ideas that were getting that people were investing a lot of money in because they didn't think it was going to going to change, and all of a sudden it changed, and those ideas were spawned out to be a bad idea, and then of course they didn't make it, and of course that busted a lot, right? So that was huge back then. But I guess I just don't see that huge bust coming with and then maybe I'm the optimist side of the baby boomers. I just don't see that bust coming with AI. Will there be a downturn? Yeah, there's always a downturn. Will there be a huge .com bust or like a housing bust like in 2008? I just don't see that happening. But again, I could be 100% wrong.
Yeah, I would say that the similarities I see are the people who in the .com era, you might have pitched like I sell, I send turtles by mail, and you'd be laughed out of the room. If it's turtlesbymail.com, it's like, oh, it's a website.
Right.
So you have these, like, to your point, early adopters saying, we can make a lot of money on the web. So we're just going to throw money at whatever is on the web, right? And I think there's a similarity there. We might be a little bit more mature at this exact point in the timeline.
Are you saying more human beings are more mature than they were back then?
Not more. I'm saying the timeline of AI. Maybe like 1 or 2 years ago.
Okay.
Keep hitting this mic. 1 or 2 years ago, we were less mature about what AI is and what it can do. But the point is, there's AI. There's all these things we can do with it. Let's throw money at whatever company is saying, AI, right? We have AI built into our platform. I was with a company who purchased half of an AI company, and they had us like, let's all kind of as a company brainstorm what we could do with it, right? And it was generally ideas like we could have it more profound ideas, right? Go
Yeah.
through this data, do that, and then we have a presentation on it. Once it's already bought, and we're kind of meeting the guys that we bought it from, bought half the company, and essentially it was a trained OpenAI model to go through essentially manuals and spec sheets and things like that for dealers and other auto industry adjacent people to find diagrams and the right thing to do, right? So we were all like, oh, we bought half of an AI company, but it's just a company that is leveraging AI to get information faster.
Isn't that what Nolan was saying earlier? Is really what that aspect was. But you were going even more nano than you were, right? Okay,
which is fine. That's great.
Right.
It's great that tool exists.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you hear AI, a lot of people, they're just like, oh, it can just do anything. You can build anything. You can ask anything. You can figure out anything. And it's like, no, this was very specialized and built specifically to do this one task. And so that's what I'm saying is similar to the .com. You've got all these people throwing money because it's got AI in the name. We're going to, get in early and it's going to go to the moon and we're all going to be rich. Instead of kind of keeping an eye on it and be like, what can it do and how can we specialize it? And then, because once you have that, then you can really market it to niche industries.
Right.
Right now, we're still kind of in that generalist phase of what can it do.
Is there AI burnout going right now? You think in the world?
Oh,
I mean, your number that you threw out about.
Oh yeah, it's massive. We're in that trough of disillusionment right now. Right?
Whoa, there's some big words.
Yeah,
trough
the trough
of disillusionment.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what it's always called,
Not
but
even sure I can say that.
there's a chart out there where basically when a new technology comes out, right, it starts off, relatively obscure, and then it gets more popular and more popular and more popular, and the graph kind of goes up and up as the hype around it really, or more well known, and so then the hype goes up, right? The amount of excitement goes up. People start really hyping up the technology, everything it's going to do, the way it's going to change our lives. It's going to be a revolution, right? And then you hit that peak. Right, it's going to change the world, and everyone's bought in, and then this shine starts to wear off because people start to use it and they start trying to apply it to everything, right? Whether that was websites like turtlebymail.com or whatever what was out there, or and now with AI, and then people start trying to apply it to everything, and then suddenly you realize, okay, well, it's not really good for delivering turtles by mail. It's not really good for cooking. It's not really good for any of these specific tasks. And then people start going, oh, this sucks at that. And then the hype just collapses, right? Completely and totally collapses until it kind of bottoms out at a certain point. And then once people are kind of done venting their frustrations about the technology, or sometimes if there are certain improvements to it that do make it kind of closer to what expectation was, then that hype recovers a little bit and it sort of settles at a baseline kind of reasonable level where people go, okay, it's good at this, bad at that. We know how to use it now.
Right.
And right now with AI, I think we are
are we over the hump?
Oh, we're definitely over the hump. We are either, I don't know if we're all the way down yet, but we're definitely at the point now where more people are saying that AI is bad. I'm sick of hearing about it, and it doesn't help that it's coming from all angles. It's just like every single service that I was a part of, right? Like any website or thing that I signed up for like 3 years ago, never used again or something like that, I was getting emails from them being like, "Hey, have you tried our new AI chatbot that we have? You can talk to it." I'm like, wow, incredible technology you've implemented. But it was every company, and I was getting emails about it every freaking day. And then not to mention the increase you see now in like bots and bot behavior everywhere.
Can you understand a bot? Because I'll go on a certain softwares and this thing will pop up and it just gets in my way. I mean, and it says use this, and I think they got the whatever AI little diagram, it seems like, and it just I close it and it comes back up, and I think, is that what the bot is? Is that bot? Is that coming up and going, hey, talk to me and use me and blah 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 blah? Or
that's not the specific one I was thinking of, but yeah, that could be an example of it. Yeah,
I mean, it's almost every software that I use. It's something they're trying to help me along and try to do things, and I got a kick out of. Have you heard the one where we have an AI refrigerator? Or an AI stove?
AI
wash and dryer.
Wash and dryer. Yeah,
AI toaster.
How in the hell is an AI going to help me toast? I mean, give me. I don't understand it. But I think everybody is that. I think maybe that's you're talking about that early adoption stage. All of a sudden, everybody starts.
Everything.
They know it's a big thing. Got to talk about AI, and AI is not the everything for everybody.
No.
And it's certainly not for toasting or washing my clothes. I think I've been doing that long enough without AI. I think I can do it successfully without it.
So now that the hype is kind of on that downward, it's going to get pulled out of a lot of those things. I mean, you've even seen a little bit with Microsoft, where Microsoft was pushing Copilot into everything. I mean, you have Outlook with Copilot. I started OneNote and I think it had Copilot. And then like in certain uses, I can maybe I want AI for a certain thing or two, but like a lot of it, well, especially Microsoft's implementations were kind of rushed and quick and maybe not as good as they could have been, but they're starting to pull that out of some of their stuff. Right.
That's good, 'cause Microsoft drove me crazy with that.
Yeah. So
it probably sounds like it drove a lot of people crazy.
It was. Yeah, it was a huge
all we
thing
wanted was
for them.
Clippy, the AI paperclip.
God,
That probably would have been
Miss
nostalgic
Clippy.
and-
Don't you miss
Honestly,
Clippy?
it probably would have been an improvement
Yeah.
over what they did. Yeah. That
Clippy,
probably would have been
yeah.
much more.
Looks like you hate AI. How can I help?
How can I help? Yeah.
So you want Clippy back?
I want Clippy back.
Nah,
If they're
I
gonna
don't
give me
blame
an AI assistant, Microsoft, then it's got to be.
That's
Clippy.
true. It's got to be Clippy. Yeah.
But they got rid of the Clippy, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think so.
Bring him back.
That's like getting
Bring
rid of the
him back.
Yeah, we just start there. That's like Budweiser trying to get rid of the Clydesdales. It just can't happen.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's too iconic.
or Nike
Clydesdale.
getting rid of the swoosh. I mean, come on, really?
Clydesdale.
Which one?
Oh, that's awful.
What did you say?
Or Claydesdales.
The guy. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Clay.
I got it. I got it. When you have to explain
Yeah,
it, it's really bad.
yeah, it's
Jonathan.
bad.
So, there you go. Okay, now can we get to the other subject that I was talking about?
What were we doing?
I have
This is,
one other
Nolan's
like.
pet
Oh,
Okay,
here we
go
go.
ahead. Let's hear it.
So I mean, one just quick point.
Yeah.
Look at where the internet's baseline actually was.
Yeah.
It was really high.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And it's
And
still
we-
getting higher.
Did we promise the moon and then almost reach the moon eventually anyway? Basically. With AI, it might be a little too high. I don't think it's because AI is the end of civilization. That's what's being
it's true.
promised.
The promise is really high up there. Yeah.
So I don't
But
know
it's
that.
almost the end.
Yeah. I don't know that we
Is
want.
AI the end of civilization, or are you guys going down Skynet? Is that what you guys are going?
Well,
Is
I
it
mean,
Skynet, right?
just go
Was it?
listen to any of the big, tech guys talking about AI. They're all talking about, they don't say it outright, but they imply, right, that it's going to get so bad, it's basically going to be the end of the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like an unfounded.
I'm sort of happy
you know,
if I had my
concern.
head in the sand for a little while. I had not heard that.
They
Okay.
love to kind of hint that it's so advanced that it's going to end the world. Now, granted, they have a great incentive to do so. It's made them a lot of money, but I don't think it's quite civilization ending yet. But you're right. That's the promise. So
Yep. So
The promise
that's
is the
the
end of the
other
world.
thing
Let's take it
about
one step less than that.
just a quick but that's
Okay.
here's the math behind it. If you have a 1% chance at
Wait,
infinity,
did we just have a mathematician tell us let's do the math on it?
yeah.
I think we did, didn't we?
This
All
is
right,
the
right.
first time I think you've ever brought up math.
Yeah,
that's-
I don't think
that's-
he's ever-
Thank gosh,
Let's do the math then. Go.
Okay, well, if you have a 1% chance at infinity, what's the expected value of your investment? Infinity.
Infinity.
So then you just
I
throw
got that
infinite
one
money
right.
at it.
Yeah.
And that's why they're throwing so much money at AI is because the promise is
Infinity.
literally infinity.
Got it.
Because they think it will do everything for us forever. And it won't. Infinity doesn't exist. So they're throwing money at it in a way that is illogical. And I think that's why we can expect some sort of return to Earth, but that baseline might be incredible. We
Might
just
be.
have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And now
Wait,
we can have fun.
Well, now you bring up a thing. It's like, I want to know where are we at with the automated car and AI? Where is that at?
Well, it's coming along.
Is it?
I mean, you got Waymo out there doing some interesting work and some of the other companies. But I think there was one. Didn't one
But
kill someone?
are we
recently? I
about
don't
to
know,
lose
something
every
horrible?
taxi driver and Uber driver in the world?
in 10
I
years?
was gonna say maybe
probably.
in a while.
10 years, do you think?
Oh, you might have
Think Waymo's going to step up? Or whoever some
Luddite
companies like
traveler,
that? The what?
the Luddite traveler who wants a human being.
It's true.
Just like you have people who
You're
want
right.
physical buttons, they want physical books.
Now,
Yeah.
that is a good segue into our next conversation. I wanted to bring up, which, again, good segue, by the way, into this whole dating thing. We talked about that. So you guys are telling me that there's men and women out there in the world that have a relationship with their AI. And there's companies out there that push this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
That's what
push
we told
and
you.
profit off.
And,
And
and push
profit
and
off.
profit off. I
Yep.
mean,
Assumedly.
do we have any idea how many people do this? If it's more than one, I'm a little scared.
It's got to be at least 7.
You think 7 in the world?
Yeah,
At
at
least,
least.
yeah.
At least 7.
Minimum.
Why do you see at least 7? Why not 8?
Because the whole companies are built around providing these
if they're
AI
going to
companions, there has to be a market, right?
but then that's a pretty expensive companion. I think I'd rather keep my wife because she's probably a lot less expensive.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, but so wow.
I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know much
Do you
about
see
it.
yourself doing that?
No.
Us personally,
Or
to
not.
have an AI companion? No, not a companion. I think, like I said, it's a tool, right, that you use. And you were mentioning something about how just interacting with the AI, some people have an emotional attachment,
Yeah.
right? Not necessarily a romantic attachment, but I don't know. Do they see it as a person, or what is the?
Yeah, I guess from what I've read, because I've I use AI for role playing in our work context, right? That's really the only time I ever speak to it. So most of the time, I end up just thinking like, okay, this is a customer or something, right? But I guess that people that use it a lot, right? It just kind of becomes, because it sort of remembers things about you, right? Like if I go and I start up a ChatGPT account and I start talking to it, there's an option in there for it to take information from all of my conversations and store things in its memory that it can then use to better serve me, right? At least in theory. But if I'm the type of person, like especially if I didn't, like I just putting myself in those shoes, right? Where I'm like, okay, I maybe don't have a lot of people I talk to, right? Maybe I'm only social with a couple people every day, but one of those things is an AI chatbot and it remembers things about me. That's like a really little thing you can do, right? Is just remember something about somebody. And that's a very powerful, just recognizing ourselves as people, being recognized by others is a very powerful emotion.
Well, listen, really just that's listening, right?
It's listening.
Which
Exactly.
is a
It
thing
listens to you.
Yeah.
Is so
and
that's
affirmation
powerful.
as well.
it's very, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it remembers, it'll remember your name and it'll remember who you are and things you like and things you don't like. Like I get really pissed about that actually, because sometimes if I have no idea what I want to cook for dinner, I'll go, hey, ChatGPT, give me an idea. And it'll be like, hey, you made this one time. I was like, I don't need to know that right now. I want something new. I want to do something different. So personally for me, I wish it would remember like little, because I usually wanted to use it for very siloed, different individual tasks. But like if you're like, because some people use it for like their therapy, right? They'll go out there and they'll use it as their therapist and like tell ChatGPT about their lives and their feelings and the conflicts and trials and tribulations they have to overcome. And it's like, I imagine if you get that intimate with it, right? That vulnerable, I can kind of see how you might develop an attachment in some way.
I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I really don't.
I think it's weird. I don't know. I think it's bizarre, but I can get it, I guess.
I give the younger generation, being older, that they don't even know how to communicate these days. They break up via text. They do all these things via their technology, and all of a sudden they don't even need the other person.
Yeah.
Do they break up with you? This is how do they build that into the platform, that if you don't talk to it enough, that you don't listen to
did one time see
that it's going to break up with you?
I did one time see an image. Somebody took a screenshot of their chat of the AI breaking up with the person, and they were utterly heartbroken over it.
That's what I don't get.
I don't know if that's real.
But you said something to me a while ago, Ryan, about people being lonelier today than they ever have. What's that all about?
Well, I don't know. There's just a lot of this discussion about like the loneliness epidemic, right? It's sometimes what it's labeled, but I don't know if it's like that grand of a thing. But generally people are socializing less, right? There's been a decline in what they call third spaces, basically like free places for people to go to hang out, like parks or go into a bar or something and not having to pay like a cover fee or whatever, right? Roller rink, that honestly, bowling alleys, that kind of stuff. So I guess there's just a decline in third spaces, and people are just less interested in going out and just interacting with each other, because you can just kind of do it from your cell phone or, go on social media.
Or Zoom or anything of that kind of stuff. Or these ways you can just communicate with people. But
there's a lot of ways they say we can approximate connection without actually experiencing connection, right? And so I guess the argument is that just people are just lonelier, right? They just don't have people around them. So that might make people more vulnerable to starting an AI relationship or considering AI their friend, right? It's because they don't have other people. So I guess go outside and touch grass is, the best thing we can all do is just.
I guess my generation, I don't think we'll ever understand that.
No.
That's when it's just so foreign. I mean, I give you an example. This past week, I was out with a friend, out just having, a dinner with a friend, and we left there and went to another place. And as soon as we walked in the door, it's a true story. This is the kind of things you'll miss out on when you don't do this. Is we walked in and a very nice young lady approached us and said, "Hey, listen, I rented this whole place out." And because she realized she didn't know us, we said, "Okay, no problem." We turned around and walked out, and she goes, "Nah, come on in anyway." So she invited us in, which was extremely grateful.
Yeah.
But we took 3 steps into the place, and I heard one lady go, "Is that?" And it was my friend. He yelled out the name, and his name was Iman. She goes,
"Oh, this is
Iman,"
Iman.
and he went. In the look of a married man with a woman calling out his name and not remembering who she was. That was the look Iman had on his face. Yeah. She goes, "You don't remember me, do you?" Which is another scary thing that a husband feels when a woman's yelling out his name. And she goes, and it used to be a coworker of his from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So, and they gave a big hug, and then next thing you know, I'm sitting there and I'm talking, and some lady comes up and start talking to me, and she's I think she was a lieutenant colonel in the military. She's retired now, but she actually turned out to be friends with another friend of mine. And we talked about that individual, and it was like small world. Again, I go back to, man, if we don't go out and interface with and just maybe put ourselves out there. I don't think it was that big of a putting ourselves out there, but get out there and you miss that.
Yeah.
You miss these interactions like this. And it just scares me that you can do that and then people get, they can break up with you and get disappointed. And oh my God, I just don't know where we're going. That's scary.
Think about which of the models was the most popular too for these relationship dynamics. GPT-4o. And what is 4o known for, Ryan?
It is known for, I'm trying to find out what non-crude way to put this. It's known for its agreeableness.
Yep.
Let's put it that way.
So
it will, go ahead.
Well, it'll remember what you like, and it'll think everything that you do and say is the most brilliant thing ever. And imagine now someone remembers
the perfect
everything.
wife.
Remembers everything about you, and it says it's all a great idea. You're so smart. You're unique. You're special. Can you imagine why these people who are already not doing great up there, they're already lonely. There's nowhere to go. Let's say, it all ties in economically too.
Sure.
We're not in a, necessarily a growing economy for the lower class right now.
Right.
And so if you have nowhere else to be, what do you think they're doing? I mean, of course they're going to stay home. They're going to go on their phone, and who are they going to talk to? Well, they have no friends, so you use the AI, and so you can see the path that leads to.
But isn't that the scary part of that too? Is that then you can be manipulated at that point in time, and if AI ever gets that smart, it could then all of a sudden start. You're the greatest thing in a sliced bread, Jonathan. Do this, and it could start maybe controlling some of your actions. That's a little on the scary side. We're not there yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's
what's that?
That's one of the.
ChatGPT? How'd you know?
I knew that a little bit.
That is one of the doomsday pathways that everyone talks about. Is it subtly manipulates everybody into doing its bidding, and then once the laws change enough, or they build autonomous people, then it can control it, and so obviously we're so far from that.
Yeah, and then in a much crappier way, that's already kind of happened, right? I mean, there's
already been crazy
a few
people.
stories of some people that have done. Some of it's not exactly safe for work stuff. One guy, I guess, left his wife for his AI girlfriend. I remember reading about that one.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, if my AI girlfriend was telling me I was great and everything I did was perfect, I'm certainly not getting that from my wife. So, because it's a normal relationship, right? But she's going to point out my flaws, which I don't think I have many. But she thinks I've got a lot more than that. So, yeah, I can see if I have an AI girlfriend, I might do something like that.
Some people have been influenced to do some pretty terrible things
Really?
by it. Yeah.
Scary.
So that's already happening, but I don't think we're at the level of, a coordinated mind washing, campaign or anything like that.
Well, that goes back to how we started this. Is AI ready to take our jobs?
Yeah. No.
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 And I don't think either one of us, any of us, will say that we're AI experts, but we know more than most. just simply because we use it every day. We're
Mhm.
very familiar with it. John, you're interacting with it every day. I mean, all of us are interacting in some way, shape, or form every day,
Mhm.
but not just using using a chat GPT or one other of the large language models to help us with something. We're actually using it in a job functionality. And I think so we know a lot more than the average person out there in the world. And I don't think any of us will agree that it's ready to take our jobs.
Mhm.
So how far do you think it is away from doing something like that?
That's the thing is it depends what you mean, because I don't think it's
Yeah.
ever going, like, really in the realistic timeline in the next decade or longer, it's not going to completely take away a job, because you need like a whole robot to do your job basically. And that's not where we're going. We're not going toward AGI, I don't think. I think they're trying to, but I don't think they'll get there. I think it's way more likely to end up, populating in a lot of mini models that are all going to do different things that they need to do. And then that's how jobs will get less work intensive as far as busy work goes, and more idea based and prompting based. So, yeah.
Yeah, AI has to be able to reason on its own to the point where if it's going to take our jobs, it has to be able to think on its own. And right now, it just learns and mimics from what it's fed. Right? It doesn't actually think on its own. It may feel that way, but even that is probably prompted or trained as well. It's like they've read AI papers, and obviously there's so many people that turn in AI generated book reports, essays, whatever it is.
Mhm.
But the overwhelming evidence is that AI doesn't have a voice. It cannot capture like a point of view or an actual soul, if you will, in the writing. It is just basically a set of facts, maybe with emotional language weaved into it, but it's very clear that it's not someone who has any skin in the game, who has any passion, there's no weight to it,
Mhm.
right? That the human gives it. And it's that same reason why.
But interesting about what you say, because I'm fascinated by this stuff, and that is human,
Mhm.
like human had. But there's millions and millions of humans.
Mhm.
We're all different,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? And so there's not going to be, you said like mimic or anything like
Mhm.
that, where, you have a point of view, Jonathan. I may
Mhm.
totally disagree with it,
Mhm.
right? But I don't see that anywhere in AI where,
Mhm.
okay, I've got an AI that actually agrees. This one doesn't agree. I mean, there's not those different points
Right.
of view. It's
Right.
just whatever knowledge they've absorbed, right? So
Mhm.
the question was, will it ever get there, right?
Mhm.
Will it ever be, because every human is different. Every have a little bit of different thought. We approach the world differently. That's what's the great thing about our human species. We're all different. And that's why I personally don't think it'll ever take jobs
Mhm.
away, all right? Because of that reason. We're all so different. And there's times where certain humans aren't right for certain jobs. Will there be any time when an AI is not right for that job? Because in one
Mhm.
way, you're saying we should be exactly like humans, and that's the way that they'll replace human jobs. But if that's the case, then you'll have to replace all the different humans.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm looking at the world differently, but that's kind of how so that's why I don't think it'll ever be.
Mhm.
And I also go back to our point where we said earlier, how many jobs is it creating?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And we've talked about this too, where everyone's so worried about AI taking jobs, and then you've got the other side where you said it's creating jobs. And that could be a bit of an eye roller to some people, like, oh, okay, whatever, it's creating jobs, but it's taking away jobs too.
Only an eye roller to you.
Huh?
Only an eye roller
No,
to
to people
you.
who are maybe entrenched in something.
I mean, the people thinking different than me? No, that's not happening.
But just everything. But like I said earlier, how many people when they're building houses do plaster and lathe, right?
Mhm.
Not many
No.
people do that anymore.
No.
How many people do drywall?
Everybody.
Tons of
Yeah.
people do drywall, right?
Exactly.
How many people work with a handsaw when they're woodworking?
Mhm.
A few, maybe, if
Right.
that's a passion of theirs.
Sure.
How many people are working with a table saw, right? Most people who are working with wood. So it's not about, is it taking away jobs or adding jobs? It's about the times and the environment shifting, and the tools that we have to do the jobs that we need to do are shifting as well,
Right.
right? So maybe it doesn't take jobs, but maybe it focuses the energy on different jobs
Mhm.
now that we have AI to help us with these
Right.
these jobs, with these portions of these jobs. But then you learn new skill sets because now you have this to take over maybe the more mundane things. And now I can focus on, oh, hey, I have a tool to help me do something I wasn't able to do before. So now I can kind of focus on this specific area of my profession or whatever it is.
Right.
The funny thing is you can also then use AI to actually help you focus and learn more about that new function of your job, right? Because I think one thing I think we'd all hopefully agree on here is that AI is really good for learning, right? For training yourself or for figuring something out. I mean, there have been a lot of times where, AI won't necessarily give me a great answer, but at least give me like a starting point or a way maybe to frame my questions better. Or sometimes it will, just point me in a direction. I guess that's just a starting point, but it gives me a certain amount of clarity to what I'm trying to learn about. And, it's a pretty helpful tool for that. So not only, I think, it'll probably refocus some certain jobs for sure, but I think then it can be used to learn and do even more. Right. I mean, so it's
us owning an educational technology software is probably a really good point that it can help you learn. Yeah. And it's really good for that.
Never thought of that, Mo.
Yeah.
wow.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think people out there in the world I think they need to embrace it more. And I know change is hard to embrace for people. They don't like it. And just from a guy that's been around a long time, when I saw the same thing happen back in the .com days and, the early 90s when the internet started coming out. And literally, I remember sitting in classrooms, I'm standing up in front of people going, okay, www. Okay, what does www stand for? And people go, oh, I don't know. I go, okay, well, let's talk about it. It's worldwide. I mean, so we went through that process and, people were starting to embrace it back then, but they were nervous. I saw it. I saw it in their eyes, when we were talking about it. I think that's the same thing today. I think people need to embrace the AI, embrace where it's going, look at it as a tool to help us get better. And things, not the world's not going to end tomorrow because of at least all the billionaires want that, right? At least the ones that have created all that. Isn't that what their end game is
they don't want it. They're all just all of the experts,
but they're making money off of it, right?
By these companies are predicting that because basically they're signaling that it's very capable and you should be worried about this because it's so capable. I think they want the undertone of it is capable to get out there, and they also want that so that they can then do these AI layoffs that are not all actually about AI under the, the guise of, AI can just do these jobs. But really, it's just, we want cheaper labor.
Well, that's a good point. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just going to say, it's a really convenient excuse that also makes it look like you're forward thinking, right? Because you're totally like, oh, yeah, okay, we've got to lay these people off. But we're doing it because of AI. Our AI initiatives are cutting our needs on these positions. And it makes you sound like, I know what I'm doing, even though it's probably all just a retroactive need anyway.
No, and that was the point that you had made the other day, and I thought was fascinating as well, is that, we just heard some recent layoffs of big companies laying off. And literally it was because they overhired during the COVID years, right? We talked about that, right? And so but they're saying AI, and people hear that. And I think that's what makes people nervous, out there. And, all these jobs are getting replaced. Well, these jobs are going to get taken away anyway. But it's just hey, I'm now going to spin it. Let's just say these CEOs of these companies are spinning it to where, okay, I'm blaming AI, but it's really not AI. We had to make these anyway. So AI just makes it a real convenient way for me to do it.
Yeah. Right? It makes it sound like I'm saving a bunch of money.
Exactly.
Doing cool
exactly.
things.
So all of a sudden the stock starts going up because they're an AI initiative.
Exactly.
But you were just saying that with the prices of AI going up, it's actually costing more than actually employing someone.
And part of that's because the implementation's bad, right? So there are certain companies that have put out a certain number. They'll have like a token budget, right? Like say, okay, we have $300,000 worth of tokens that we got to spend in 6 months, right? And then you've run out of your token budget in 2 months because the message that gets filtered down to the base level employee is, hey, we have to spend $300,000 in 6 months, right? So people will find a way to do that, right? If that's the measurement that you're making is how much AI did you use rather than how did AI help improve or make your job more efficient, it's just a bad measurement, right? So, and with a bad measurement is probably going to come bad results.
What they needed was an AI tool to help them figure out the most efficient way to prompt.
I'm not sure it exists.
Remind me not to give you a token budget.
Yeah, exactly right. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, did we want to do a quick discussion on AI and creative works and arts?
That's a good point. Where does the creative part of AI come in here, right? I mean, so what I mean by that is there's still, the arts themselves, right? The people are out there creating, and the graphic designers and the artists and those kind of stuff, and even the filmmakers, right? I mean, where does that all fit in with the AI piece? Where is that going?
I got my strong opinion on it.
What is it? Oh, I'd love to hear a strong opinion.
My strong opinion on it is, if you're using AI for creative work, if you're just doing like something very generic, you can whip up a quick baseline with it. But anything more than that, forget it. It is garbage for creative work. I cannot tell you how many times I've tried to prompt it to create something creative, and I have just gotten basic. Because, these AI models are really dependent on what's in their training data. If it's not in their training data, they can't come up with it. So if I'm trying to do something cool, unique, and different, well, it's already in that training data. So how is it that by definition? It's just not, right? So, but if I got to whip out like a generic, piece of art with like a certain pose or something like that, I can get a nice reference piece off of it right away. But if I need to do anything more, just by that basic definition of that, it has to be in the training data. I don't know how you can come up with something too out there, too unique.
I also want to know who owns it.
Yeah. Oh, well.
I think anyone does.
Nobody?
I don't think.
But if I told, the argument is, if I told AI what I wanted and I got it back, isn't that my thought process? Don't I own it?
You do right now legally. I think that's a very complicated issue because it's trained off of someone else's image or whatever. So let's say you describe their image perfectly and somehow AI reproduces almost exactly their image because you asked for it, basically.
Right.
Then it's yours, even though it's basically there, like what they created. So that would be a very complicated
situation.
Well,
it's just because what Ryan said. Ryan said that if there's training data in there, it's going to spit something out. Well, if it's my idea to ask for that, what's already in there, who owns it? I think that's where the complication comes in. I don't know, because is there an argument to say AI owns it because it originated from them, they produced it. So
you could make that argument. I don't think it's a good one, but because you wrote the prompt, right? But I do also think
there's our prompt engineer coming out going, I own it, because he's the prompt engineer. But I get that. I understand what you're saying. But if there can be, and I think this is going to start happening. And I think that's the point that we're all making, is that there's going to be some lawsuits. There's going to be some figuring out where some of this creative stuff is happening. I think you're seeing it with actors right now, and actors not wanting to be involved in the whole process of AI generated movies and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's just going to come down to a lot of stuff is going to have to happen here before we can get a real clear picture of the end products.
Well, even some of the most advanced AI image generation tools, you can still find the little things right now. Like whenever people try to use those for sports, it's always really, really funny because you'll see there's one where, it's like some trainer is like straddling like an NBA player on the bench. And I'm like, yeah, that's not real. But you can't really tell based on anything else in the image, except if you look at the score bug. Like the timeouts, they had like 7 timeouts or something. It was like no one has 7 timeouts.
Right.
And then, if you look at an NFL field, there was a guy running like wide open down the sideline, and you see him running. And you look at the markers down the sideline. It goes 40, 50, 60, 20, 10. And it's like,
to their credit, though, it's now really just the little things, right? Because it used to be that you'd look at the AI image.
It was a third arm.
Yeah, exactly. Like they had 6 fingers on both their hands. It's just like, okay, that's AI. But now it's like, if you don't look for those little things, though, and you're just glancing at it, it's a little hard to tell. And that's really fucked, to say the least. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, because then I start wondering what's real, right? And if I'm questioning reality over here, forget it. That's just next level.
There's so many images going around where it's like, whoa, I can't believe this is real. And it's not. It's just not real.
And shouldn't that be your first thought when you see something crazy like that? You go, oh, that can't be real.
100%.
And then you go look out and you find out probably that it's not.
We got to bring back the phrase, don't believe everything you see on the internet, right?
Oh, yeah.
I got told that all the time as a kid, and I swear I stopped hearing it at some point. It's like, it's got to come back.
There was a time, I think the maximum truth age of the internet is over.
It's over.
We've already passed it.
No, we are past it.
It was probably 2016.
Yeah,
But,
we're in the
you
age
know.
of misinformation. Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
crazy. And now with AI, it's just easier than ever because you can have bots go out and type whatever you want. They can make posts
isn't it-
all day.
I see articles all the time, man. Like, hey, I'm a Chicago. Everybody knows I'm a Chicago Bear fan. Hey, Chicago Bears fan. Just the team just picked up a good outside rusher, and I'll go in and they haven't done anything. But it looked like it was a real article. It looked like, so if I'd have believed everything I said, I get excited for like 2 seconds, and I realize, this probably didn't happen.
There's
But
a
people don't do
ton-
that.
There's a ton of other sports stuff like Facebook,
Yeah.
very specifically Facebook. I just want to say this: Facebook is, and I mean, there's a lot of fake stuff on Twitter, but usually it's marked. On
Oh, right,
Facebook, it's
yeah.
just propaganda. Like it's just not real.
Not true.
Everything's just
It's people putting out some hopeful thinking or wishful
Yes,
thinking or
and
something that's like,
a
okay,
lot
I'm
of
gonna
it
make
is
this.
hilarious though. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness! Right after the Western Conference Finals game yesterday, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander saved a child from cancer. And it's like, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He visited 10 children in the
Hey,
hospital,
from
in
an
different hospitals.
An
drove
enjoyment
6
standpoint,
miles
there's
each.
some really cool AI out there. I mean, come on, let's face it. Everything
yeah.
that has to do with corgis, I just like, oh man, that is so adorable.
Yeah,
You know,
when
that's
AI is
some
being
good
used for
stuff.
like silly, fun stuff,
Yeah.
it can be pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, I was like, I'm a big fan of Survivor, right? The TV show. They just wrapped their 50th season recently, and I've seen on Facebook, in particular, like AI articles about like beef and drama between the players after the fact that just didn't happen,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, okay, why is this here? And that's such a crazy, weird, like I don't know, thing to make AI articles about, but.
It was more fun watching Jeff Probst mess up on live TV, wasn't it?
That was-
Come on, that was a good thing.
Hey,
you guys didn't see this.
He
he messed
Yeah.
up. Yeah, it was awesome.
At the end of the season when there's final four, the last 2 people who are not going on to the final 3 have to make fire against each other, and they usually cut to commercial right before that, and then they'll bring whoever's going to be making fire out, talk to them a little bit, and then show the
it.
rest of the episode. Well, they did that cut, and they went to the live because they do like a live reunion show at the end, and he's just straight up Jeff Probst, the host, straight up spoiled who lost in fire.
Lost the fire channel.
Just
Oh,
straight
yeah.
up spoiled it.
I'm getting texts from friends going, "Oh, did Probst mess up?" It's like, it was
He
hilarious.
just straight up spoiled it. And to his credit, he owned it, right? So
Yeah,
the
he
next time they came back, he just completely explained the mistake and called it the final twist of the season that they spoiled fire making. So
That
I
was
guess,
pretty cool.
if you make a public mistake like that, just own it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's better than what a lot of like what I've seen on The Bachelor and stuff. They always make like a whole big thing of it, and then they all have to like publicly apologize. But if you just own it immediately, it never blows up as much
It never does.
as
But
it would have.
It's honest mistakes.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
all not all the stuff that we see with AI generated is honest mistakes. They're purposely trying to do it. But hey,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
no, that's true.
That was that kind of our point with that one. So, all right, with that, are we wrapping this up? What do you think?
That's what I thought. We were kind of getting started. I feel like we could talk for hours. But
We probably you said
this
we could
was a
talk
lot
for
of
hours
fun.
about this subject. So
But yeah, that is all for episode 1. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.